Hey guys, so we are on to question 5, and it says, for any real number x, which one of the following statements is always true? So now we've got things like real numbers, and we need to know what real numbers are and what they consist of. So, well, a real number includes all rational and irrational numbers, and you need to know that every real number actually has a point on the number line. So just to see what we need to know, a real number basically is either rational or irrational. What are rational numbers then? Well, any value which can be written as P over Q, where Q cannot equal to 0. What happens if you have a 0 as a denominator? It is undefined. So a rational number is a number over a number, or an integer over an integer, where the bottom number cannot be 0. Let me give you some examples. Let me make some space. So it can be, for example, 1.5, or you can even say, that's also equal to 3 over 2, or we can say it as 1.5. Those are all rational numbers. For example, -4, or even the number 4. Why is it rational? It can be written as a number over another number. So -4 over 1 is exactly the same as -4. Okay, going to irrational numbers. They are like numbers such as pi. So pi has that really long number that does not end, does not have patterns that repeat. So it's something like 3,1415, and it just goes on forever. And numbers like, for example, the square root of 3, you've got something like 1,73205, goes on forever. The numbers, it does not repeat, and there's no patterns. So that's why it is known as irrational. Okay, basically that's the theory you need to know behind this question. So let me make some space. Let's quickly go through A, B, C, and D and see what statement is always true. So for A, minus x less than 0. Let's say, for example, x is equal to 2. Then yes, this would be -2, and yes, it is equal to, it is less than 0. But what if x was -2? If x was -2, then is it really less than 0? No, because then the answer would be 2, and 2 is greater than 0. So no, A is not always true. For B, 1 over x is rational. Is this always the case? For B, well, what if x, because remember, real numbers can include the number 0. What if x was 0? Then it wouldn't be a rational number, 1 over 0, because this would simply be undefined. So is this always true? No, it's not always true. For C, x over x plus 1 is less than 1. Let's just take random numbers and check them out. This is exactly how to see whether this is always true or not. Take some random numbers, play around with it, and see, does it always work out according to your understanding. So x over x plus 1 is less than 1. Is this always the case? Let's substitute 2 into this. So 2 over 3. 2 over 3 is a fraction. It's less than 0. Yes, it works if I have the number 2 in there. What if I have the number 0? Becomes 0 over 1. Is 0 over 1 undefined? No. 0 over 1 is just 0. Is 0 less than 1? Yes, it is. So it does work for 0. But we need to get a bit creative here and see, is there any catch to this? So what if I make the bottom, the denominator, a 0? How do I do that? What if I what if I make the x a minus 1, right? And then the top also. What if x was minus 1? What would this equal to? Minus 1 over, and then what is minus 1 plus 1? It's a 0. So on the left hand side we have something undefined, less than 1. Doesn't make sense. So yeah, if x was minus 1, this whole thing would be undefined and not less than 1. So C is not always true. You're left with the answer D, but let's kind of understand why it is. Well, they've put restrictions in here. 1 over x is greater than 1 if x is less than 1, but x must always also be bigger than 0. Remember, if x was not bigger than 0, then we would have had undefined here. So what can we test out here? We can test out a quarter, maybe a half, and 3/4 to see what it will give us. Why are we using these numbers? Because these numbers are greater than 0 and less than 1. Okay, so let's see. So if x was a quarter, so we'll have 1 over a quarter. What does that equal? In maths, when you are dividing by a fraction, I've got to toss it over. The 4 goes on the top and the 1 at the bottom. So 1 times 4. So your answer there would be 4. Okay, so is 4 greater than 1? Yes, it is. Okay, let me try this out for a half. 1 over a half. It's equal to 1 times 2 over 1, which is 2. Is 2 greater than 1? Yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to try this out for 3/4 now. 1 over 3/4 is equal to 1 times 4 over 3. So that would be 1 times 4 is 4, would just be 4 over 3. If you convert that into a mixed number, it's 1 and a third. Is 1 and a third greater than 1? Yes, because it's 1 plus a third. So what are we saying here? We're saying that 1 and a third is bigger than 1, 2 is bigger than 1, 4 is bigger than 1. And if we tried any number between 1 and 0, so I just chose these 3, but if you try any number between 0 and 1, less than 1, bigger than 0, then you would see that always you would get that 1 over x, or whatever that number you choose, will always be bigger than 1. So your final answer is D.